so I'm starting up again, and I'll edit this a bit later. It's part 2 of the show, partner. I don't know what happened there. We were talking about the women's showcase there, and let me bring this back up again. Sorry about that. Guys, and I hate to say that I did that. I don't know what happened. We dropped and all of a sudden we're off the air. We're back on. We're saying the women's showcase. I don't know how much we got of that, partner, but it's something that's got to go. But I agree with you. And I love the fact, and this is something that soccer's done in North America. They're playing the men's and women's competitions at the same time. I just lost Paul right there. Oops, losing my lights. Boy, we're losing everything here. Not the best. Well, I'm gonna finish strong and try to fight through this. I don't know why I lost Paul there. I lost him there. Huh? What happened there? There we go. Let's try it again. I lost you there, mate. You're there. I don't know what's going on today. You know what? Actually, we had some major storms here in the last few minutes, and I think that's what's going on. It maybe because the lights actually kind of blinked a minute a few minutes ago. We may have gotten knocked off because of the weather here. We've had some storms here. That may have been what happened. So I do apologize, but to fight through it, and we'll edit this. Actually, you go to our site, you're just going to see 2 shows. This is part 2. I'll put it in there. Part 2. I'll just put it right now. Hold on. This is a TBA Live Part 2. There we go. This will be. There we go. Yep. Anyway, okay, so the women's contest, we were talking about that. I do like what Australia does, but they do put those things parallel, and I think that's something I think baseball should do that.
I think I just heard as I dropped out before. I just heard that you were talking about the Premier League in England and the soccer in North America and how those. Look, and I think that's really the ultimate goal is to sort of make those clubs like that. And here's hoping for a great showcase, DV.
Yes, no doubt about it. Well, we talked last week about the Canberra situation, and this is as we segue here. I'm talking Baseball Australia Live, baseball's best mate. The Canberra situation, this happened in the last 24 hours. They've got new license holders, new owners, and congratulations to them. New Cav licensees announced. Baseball Australia announced that yesterday. Had a real nice piece. There was a couple of things on the ACT papers, nationally, and of course the ABL. But it seems like that this is probably the best case scenario for the folks in the ACT.
Yeah, look. I mean, I think there was a real danger there for a minute, DV, that team may, obviously there was some issues at the start of the last season, and they needed new ownership, new capital to be invested in the club. That seems to have happened. So the good news for Canberra baseball fans and Canberra sports fans is the Cavalry aren't going anywhere. I believe that one of the owners is tied up with MIT, which is a big ballpark. It's been known as MIT Ballpark for, I don't know if it still is or still isn't, but I remember it certainly was for a period of time. So look, they've got baseball fans, they've got baseball guys in there. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what transpires. Will it be the only license that will change hands? Probably not. I think there'll be one or two post-pandemic that might sort of change hands. But the Cavs are still alive, and they got it'll be interesting now, DV, to see what happens. I think still the question marks remain around. We're hearing some things in Auckland that don't necessarily bode as well as what they could be, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of happens. Whether the 8 teams come back, that's including Auckland and Geelong, Korea for next season or not, we're not sure. But Cavalry have a new ownership group, and as you said, DV, it's just great for they have such a great that ballpark and that fan experience, and those fans are great. The experience is wonderful. I'm just happy that baseball remains in the capital.
I am too. It's a group. It's called Infielder Partnership is the group, and it's Brendan Major and Ilya Mastoris. Mastoris? Is that how you say that? Mastorius. I think that's how you MAST. Yeah, Mastorius. I'm sorry, Mastorius. Ilya Mastoris and Brendan Major. We're going to reach out to them. I haven't done it yet, but I will first off welcome to the ABL. We're excited to have you. Look forward to reaching out to them and having one of them on the show in the near future. So we'll be reaching out probably as soon as this weekend. I'll definitely reach out to them, but welcome them to the baseball family. But it's something this is something that's going on, and I there's a real dear friend of mine, Sean Aronson, who's the play-by-play voice of the St. Paul Saints. Well, St. Paul no longer in the American Association, but they're the darlings of the American Association for so many years, drawing capacity crowds every night. And Sean always said that it's great that they do well, but the league is only as strong as its weakest link. And all franchises need to be on 2 feet or be solid and be on solid footing. And yes, that big crowd of 8,000 is just as important as the capacity crowd of 1,300 that plays in Cleburne, Texas. Those two things have to work, and those markets, each one's got to be successful. And it's the same with the ABL. I mean, the ABL is only going to survive, grow our game, grow our brand, and grow what we're trying to do if Canberra's on solid footing, if Auckland's on solid footing, if Sydney, if so on. They all need to have solid footing, and we're only going to be as strong as our weakest link. And if we've got, if you've got 4 or 5, you got 4 or 5 of 8 that are not viable, that's a problem. And so you want to pull for these folks. You're pulling for everybody that's had a troubled 2021 and our 2020-21 season. You and I have talked about that. My big concern was the financial side of it, but that really is my soapbox of that. But welcome them to the mix of things. So. My question to you, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you are spot on though. That the weakest link is sort of scenario, and I think we've really seen that probably hinder the growth of the ABL. Yes. I mean, you look at just take broadcast for example. I mean, years ago, Christian Galopoulos, of course, part owner of the Heat and Show Screens, invested in that broadcast product for the Heat, and then this year, great example, like Sydney rolled out Sports Lick, which is a total disaster from a broadcast standpoint, and all teams need to be. I totally agree with that. I think if you have one team that's either below par on their broadcast or below par on their experience, it ripple effects through, especially when you've got only 8 teams. It massively ripples through.
Yeah, you just can't have that. I mean, you can't survive as a brand, as a league, if that's going on. And I've told you, I was so concerned about that going into the off season that everybody's going to be financially viable. I want to show you guys this. The question earlier, but we kind of lost track of that. We got Will on, which is more important. But foul ball wise, do you guys see this? Now I show you this because. I'm a Texas Tech grad, but I didn't even see this at the time. I saw part of the game where they're blowing out West Virginia, so I didn't really pay much attention to this. But last Friday, Texas Tech was at West Virginia at Monongalia County Ballpark, and in the 7th inning the 8th inning of the ball game, and I've actually caught foul balls before, so this is not a new thing for me. I did catch one similar to this, but it is not on video, so I can't say it didn't actually happen. It's like a hole in one. It didn't actually happen if somebody didn't see it on video. But the visitors' radio booth there, Jeff Haxton, who I don't know him personally, I know who he is, and we know some mutual people. The radio announcer, very nonchalantly, as I load this in the system, he nonchalantly just caught a foul ball as if part of the game day experience. My question to you, partner, and we've done this from the back of a truck. We've done it from a tent. We've done it from the top of a dugout and the blazing sun in Sydney. We broadcast in some crazy places. I don't recall foul balls ever being something we ever caught in the booth. Or am I missing that? Did we do one? I just forgot.
It's happened twice. First time I was broadcasting at Ken McGee, we're up in the new broadcast booth in Baseball Park, and a foul ball came. We had the window open, so there's 3 windows, or 2 windows. We had the window open. Ball flew in, hit the walls, sort of did the circle, landed at Ken's feet. He kept that ball. And I think the other time was when we're on the old trestle table, and one just ran down the shade sail.
You're right.
Stuck the old head.
It did run down the shade there. Well, I'm going to show this to you guys real quickly here, and I'm going to bring Paul. This is what happened on Friday night in West Virginia. Look at this play here. No big deal. Just put his hand out. No big deal. Just and I was going to slow motion it for you real quickly here in a second. There you go. Just no big deal. Just broadcaster doing his thing. Just caught it. Here we go. Here's the slow mo of it. Look at this. Up, called the game. Doesn't flinch.
There you go.
Doesn't flinch at all. And yeah, that's what that was Friday night there. Yeah. So and I did hear the interview with Jeff Haxton where he said it did hurt for a couple hours afterwards. He did hurt. It did hurt. I did have an experience like this, and I believe I've told this on the air in Australia, but I had one in Jacksonville many years ago. I actually caught one like that in Gary, just like that. I had one land behind me, bounce back, and I caught it on the bounce. But I actually caught one like that, not as hard. But the most memorable one was in Jacksonville, Florida. The foul ball rolled up the netting, and the press box is on top of the ballpark grandstand, the old park there, Wolfson Park, and it went rocketing over my head, bounced, kicked up, hit the fluorescent lights, shattered the fluorescent lights, and the entire light ballast came down right on my back. And it was like an old NBA shot of Dr. J shattering a backboard. All the glass is all shattering on me. It's on my desk. And that was my most memorable foul ball experience, as the foul ball laying in my lap there. So yeah. Not good. Not good for business, sir.
That is a fiasco. I did hear a very good foul ball story, which is not a foul. I was listening to a podcast that had Charlie Sheen on it. Of course, Charlie Sheen, the actor, big time baseball guy. But I think back in the 90s, he went to a few Angels games. Really wanted to buy a foul. Really wanted to get a foul ball. Never really happened. He ended up calling the Angels. They were very good at the time. He ended up buying the entire left field bleachers. So every single seat there cost him. I think he said it cost him $10,000 to buy all the seats. I think there was a ton of seats. Anyway, he said there was him and four of his mates ended up going to the game. He said they were just so drunk by the time they got to the game. The Angels versus Detroit. No home runs to the game. 4 hit on wall, but nothing. So he spent $10,000 on 4 of them sitting out there, but nothing.
Yeah, there's actually, I got to find this, the guy on 60 Minutes that was on last summer that catches baseballs for a living. That's what he does. Foul ball. He has the largest collection. I got to dig that up. I got to find out more about that guy. And one more thing too, I promised Wendy D'Souza we'd have baseball books this week, but I just forgot to tell you that, partner. We have next week, we're going to have our first ever baseball book recommendation. So we'll come up with 5 each and we'll give those to Wendy. Wendy, I know you're watching on replay. We'll give that to you next week. And I got final thing as we round third here on a Did You Know. I'll give you a final thing here, a little Did You Know, partners. Let's play the Did You Know music. Here we go. Did you know? I was looking at. I should have probably got a playing days picture of Glenn Williams, but a little late today. I'll tell you why in a moment. But new Baseball Australia CEO Glenn Williams reached the big leagues with the Twins. We've talked about that. Of course, he was a Braves farmhand. But there's so many. He's got a lot of really good storylines, and we could go on for days. And I look forward to having him on and talk about some of those storylines down the road. But I did a little research. I love research. Bored in my cubicle in KC this week, I did a little research, and I discovered this little nugget. And I did not realize this, and as you're a Blue Jays guy, you probably will love this. In 2004, at AAA Toronto's, or AAA for Toronto, Syracuse Sky Chiefs, remember those days, partner, I'm sure you do, 26-year-old Glenn Williams at the time would play 117 games, hitting .264. But he would hit a team-leading 23 homers, scoring a team-leading 65 runs, while knocking in 79 runs, another team-leading total. He would set career highs in homers and RBI that season for the Blue Jays' top minor league club, those Syracuse Chiefs. And if you go and look at the roster, I mean, this is a roster that year. I'm going to just give you some baseball. These are all former big leaguers. Earl Snyder, Ernie Young, Victor Diaz, Matt Diaz, Bedry Cummings, Bob Smith, Johnny Peralta, Andy Phillips, Brian Nelson, Jeff Leifer, Brian Dahlback, Jorge Cantu, Adam Heidzu, Russell Brandon, Pablo Ozuna, The list goes on and on. These are guys that played that league this year, and he finished fourth amongst that group in RBIs that year, and it was Syracuse, and it would lead the Syracuse. The Syracuse ball club had, which I was amazed by this too. I don't know if you remember this. They had Russ Adams, Marvin Bernard, Stubby Clapp, Howie Clark, Eric Crozier, Carlos Delgado, Bobby Estella, Gabe Gross, Chad Herbenson, Julio Matos, Alex Rios, Greg Zahn was there for 33 games. I mean, they had some big league guys there, but he led the AAA club in 2004. I did not know he had first off, he was fourth in home runs in the league, which Baseball Reference totally dropped that, but he was fourth in home runs in the league, ninth in runs batted in, but he led that Syracuse ball club, and I had no idea that he had a career year in 2004. Now, granted, I'm digging a little bit here, but Glenn Williams, we talk about his short time in the big leagues. He's got a heck of a minor league resume it's impressive. We're looking at over 1,200 minor league ball games, partner.
Well, it's doubly impressive because 2004, like I would have gone down to a couple of Syracuse Sky Chiefs games in 2004. So it's I was definitely doing a lot of I was living in Toronto in 2004. I'd spent some time and did a couple of road trips down to Syracuse, and that can be a depressing place, that ballpark, if it's cold and not much going on. But yeah, it's interesting. It's highly possible I saw him play. I didn't hear the connection at the time, but I do remember Carlos Delgado, of course, then went on to Toronto for a fair while. But interesting. That is a very good did you know, DV. That is very fascinating stuff.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm here for. That's why we do a little did you know there, a little Glenn Williams history right there. We'll ask him about that and get him on the show and do that as we go out with a little music here. Brian's got one comment as well, and I'll get that to you guys. Brian's saying it was Chelsea Baker at 17-year-old pitched batting practice in 14. She was a knuckleballer. Isla Borders is well known in St. Paul circles, the old Northern League. She played and actually had a bobblehead night for her 2 years ago and came back. She was a St. Paul Saint back in 98-ish, somewhere in there. And it was a very well-known ball player and was not trendsetter, but a history-setting experiences. Isla Borders was the first and I believe only a woman to play in the American Association / Northern League. But you want to dig up that a little bit. Final thoughts, partner, on the week. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say the final thoughts, just talking independent leagues. News come through about the Quebec, of course, where Mitch Newborn's playing, Kif Ngope as well. So they shut borders, really gone. So Ontario and Quebec, the two provinces in Canada, have gone really tight. So that team doesn't seem like it'll see a lot of action. It will look like it'll be based in the US, though, so they'll have some opportunities, Gift and Mitch Newborn as well. But I'm looking forward to DV. Looking forward to going and having a little brekkie now in the kitchen, firing up MLB TV, and maybe a bit later, I'll catch those Blue Jays against the Rays and see if Liam pitches for you and check that Dodgers Padres game.
Yeah, and one note of that too, that Frontier League did a draft yesterday over here, and I haven't even pulled up that list of players yet. And maybe it's something to pull up real quickly just to give you. They had a draft yesterday of all the players that were not of those Canadian teams. I also have a source that's told me Vancouver, which has a team in that new A League out west, very beautiful ballpark, beautiful city. I've been told they're making plans to play across the border as a road team. I've not heard this, the American Association, but we go to Winnipeg in July. I've not heard anything official, but I would suspect the Winnipeg Goldeyes will play at least a half a season in North America, and then that's my guess. Those Canadian teams, by the way, they're putting one as a co-op team, and one team's going to move them across the border, and they're going to play. And should they be able to go back, they'll open up the borders. They'll be able to go back and finish the second half of the season in Canada. But it looks like it's going to affect affect independent ball and affiliated ball in Vancouver as well. Yeah. So very good stuff there, partner. Next week we'll be back at it on Thursday. We'll bring you our 5 books each. That's your homework, partner. And I got to dig up either a guest or we just made this